Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. Alright then, I guess I got another Kung Fu movie review to do for you folks. It's really obscured, it's low budget, and yes, of course, it's a blast from the past. Which is fine because I tend to like these type of movies anyway, for the most part. So here we go, I reckon. Oh, definitely. Oh yeah. And of course, thanks for tuning in ahead of time. Oh yeah. So anywho, I figured I would be talking about the film titled Heroine in the Dust. Kind of a strange title if you ask me, because it does remind me of certain substance. So yeah. Before you ask, the movie has nothing to do with that. Just putting that out there. Anyway, this is the one I'll be reviewing, and yes, unfortunately, this is the English dubbed version I'm talking about. But whatever, I guess. Anyway, so I just thought I'd do this real quick because I tend to like these movies, like I said a moment ago, for the most part. Anyway, of course, as usual, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So here we go. And so yes, this film is centered around this one character, let's say wrecked with guilt from his past. Let's just say that our main character does change his name and attempts to start a new life. But, of course, he quickly finds that people aren't so forgiving, unfortunately. So there's that, I reckon. Because for one, yes, it's quite obvious that others cannot forget, and he is forced to defend himself for his past transactions. So if anything, it comes out of one of those individuals that changes ways. But it's just unfortunately, it's just that the other people can't just let it go. Yes, it's one of those types of movies, and yes, obviously, throughout the entire movie, he has to deal with this, even though he doesn't want to and whatnot. He's like, yeah, he made some mistakes, but it's just that he's to deal with them now. A lot of people still are aware of his mistakes, of course, and what had occurred, obviously. So there's that, of course. Anyway, throughout the movie, when you think about, yes, of course, there's going to be a ton of action and quite a bit of fight scenes like you might expect when it comes to these types of movies. And that's what happens here, of course. And there's quite a bit of action, obviously, a lot of kung fu and whatnot. Yes, obviously, it's going to take place in various areas and various places, as again as these movies tend to do for the most part. And yeah, that does happen here. So I can say that fights is a well choreographed, and I keep bringing this up, but there's a certain charm when it comes to these kung fu fighting sequences in these movies. You get lots of wide shots and whatnot. You get lots of scenes where lots of good, well, good enough camera angles anyway, where you can actually see the action and full display, which you can't really get in a lot of the more modern day era. Not really. I mean, there might be a few exceptions. I mean, few to this, but even then, it could be kind of tricky. But the fighting here is actually quite good. It's quite well done. I like the way how it's displayed, of course. And this is no different, obviously, in this one. And that's definitely one of the things I can say about the really old kung fu movies is that the fight scenes, again, for the most part anyway, are nicely done. They're nicely done in that regard, quite obviously. I did like that. I did like how that's done, quite obviously. So ultimately, I can say the fight is very choreographed. The main character had to go through a bunch of characters. I just pretty much kicked their ass, obviously. I pretty much beat them up and show them who's boss, pretty much. And he may not like what it was his past self did, but yet here you are. Anyway, I guess in other words, I'm gonna say this is definitely something I guess it's worth a watch. Even though yes, unfortunately the dubbing here isn't particularly great. The dubbing here is kind of bad in some ways. I mean it's durable, I guess. If you don't let it bother you too much, I guess you'd be fine. So it's just unfortunate that a lot of these low budget movies didn't get the proper, I guess, translation, of course. And yes, a lot of the time, the vast majority of dialogue would be vastly different, or maybe somewhere in the radar of it. So yes, of course, there'd be a completely different script that was written for the English dubbed version and whatnot. So it's like two different scripts for the same movie. Get your head around that, of course. And and sometimes when you think about a lot of these martial art films, when it comes to dubbing, they're trying to the people at the English, look at the American studios, they whoever hired to be the English dub over voiceover. We're trying to get these done as soon as possible. Of course, we're trying to get these done as soon as possible. Which, yes, in a lot of ways, it shows. Oh, there's that, I reckon. I guess. Anyway, so I still recommend people to watch this movie anyway. And yes, I know it's something that a lot of people may not want to watch because, for one, I know these low budget movies aren't for everybody. Yes, I do realize that these old movies aren't for everyone, really. Of course, I do recognize that. Of course, but yes, I thought I'd just this be a good way to talk about these types of movies because I tend to watch these type of movies for the most part. Which honestly, I don't mind it really. So there's that, I reckon. But yeah, here we are, of course. Anyway, but yeah, this was definitely a good watch. I thought so anyway. So yeah, there's that, I reckon. Oh, definitely. Anyway, folks. So I guess there's not much else I can say about this. I mean, yes, I do miss the old school kung fu movies. Don't make these like they used to. Yes, I realize that makes me sound like an old bastard, but keep in mind that I am over 100 years old, folks. So technically, I am an old bastard, I guess. So there was that, I suppose. That aside, yes, that's kind of why I don't really review the more modern day era kung fu. Really, again, there are some exceptions I might be willing to make, of course, but for the most part, I'm like, I'm no, I just stick with this stuff. Thank you very much. Of course, it's not that I'm not willing to give the new stuff more of a chance because there's some. It's just incredibly rare. I would like something that's more recent, I guess, regardless of genre, I suppose. Yes, I know, that's more of a me thing, I guess, but still, that doesn't mean I don't have a point. They just don't make this like they used to, unfortunately. They really don't. I do miss this kind of stuff, honestly. I really do. All right. I'm basically just rambling on this point, so I'll give this an overall rating of a 7.010. It gets a 7.010 for me. So, of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.